Welcome to Spoiler Appetite. I'm Tristan. Oh man, how is everybody doing? Hopefully everybody's doing great. I'm doing pretty great. I'm still behind on some stuff I have on my watch list on HBO, Max and whatnot. All that fun stuff. I just really gotta stop playing Overwatch. It's past couple of weeks been pretty good, pretty chill. Tired as usual. Just kind of feeling meh at the end of the day. I did try and watch Dr. Sleep, but I was too tired. Didn't even get to it an hour into it because I was watching the director's cut. But I'll get to that sooner or later. But in the meantime, we got some stuff to talk about. It's not a whole lot today, but there is a lot to talk about with these topics. But in the meantime, I don't know. Lately, with me, I'm just like I don't know. I feel weird doing this podcast right now. I don't know why, but yeah, maybe it's because it's like really late. It's almost 2 o'clock in the morning. But it is what it is. That's how I always record these episodes, because why the hell not? Got nothing else to do. I don't have to go to work in the morning or anything like that. But yeah, and I've been thinking about it. Not too terribly much or anything, but there is this idea that I kind of want to jumpstart my YouTube channel again. Because earlier in the podcast, if you've been around from the YouTube days, this was basically, I would always post my podcast on YouTube and nothing else, because I didn't know how to, to post it on iTunes, Google, Spotify, all that fun jazz. But thanks to Anchor, it's all here now, and I'm sure the new audience that's coming to listen to this is coming from Spotify and everywhere else, wherever you listen to this. But I've been thinking about doing not a daily, but like a weekly sort of videos of like stuff that comes out like the day of and whatnot. Because, I don't know. I've been thinking about doing some sort of like, some sort of just like videos, and not necessarily live. And I know everybody wants to do live, but I don't know. A part of me is like, I'd rather make videos about, just like anybody else that does, like, not reaction videos, but like more of sort of my thoughts on trailers and all this, instead of like doing it in a podcast. But I don't know. I've wanted, my YouTube channel at the beginning, and for those that don't know, my YouTube channel, I've had it for 11 years, and it wasn't until, I think it was 2019 or 2020 is when I deleted everything from it, but I saved all the videos, because I made videos going back to the early days in 2010 or whatever, and I have some just shooting the shit just for shits and giggles and whatnot. And then there were some where I wrote scripts, and then I filmed them to be video stories and all that business. And ever since 2020, because of the whole DACA Act or whatever, kind of really scared me to the point where I was like, I'm deleting all this because I don't want to get sued for someone, looking at my videos being like, this looks kid friendly, and even though your channel says your channel is not for kids or whatever, we're still gonna find you, stuff like that. I mean, I haven't read too much into the details, but just the basis of it, I'm just like, yep, deleting it all. And so now it's been, I haven't really, I think at the time I never really posted any video. Well, the last thing I did for my YouTube channel was, of course, doing weekly episodes of reviewing, quote unquote, of Titans for DC Universe that's now on HBO Max, and just giving my quick thoughts on it. And it's just, that show, I mean, I don't really need to go into it. And it is crazy because my friend somehow got the first 2 seasons of Titans for free, and he'd never seen them before. And he's like, oh man, I can't wait to watch them or whatever. You should come over and watch them with me. And I've told him time and time again, I think Titans is shit or whatever. I think it's straight up shit. And it kills me to say that because, I wanted some Teen Titans show, whether, and obviously the Titan show is very much a mix of the two. It's Teen Titans, and then there's the old, the some of the members are teens, and then some of the members are adults or whatever. And it's like, it all came down to execution. I just couldn't, really deal with it, and that first trailer kind of left a bad taste in my mouth, and I'm like, God, I hope this is better than what it's showing in this trailer. And, didn't work for me, unfortunately. And so, I'm currently doing that with a friend, and I'm just like, oh, this is painful. just rewatching it, because, and I'll get into it later on the episode. I rewatched the movie today, and, I'll get into it. And, but when I finish rewatching this movie that I'm about to review in this episode, I had a different experience. I felt different. And so, I was hoping that watching Titans, I would have, maybe now that I know what's going on, maybe this time around I'll be much easier on it. And no, we're only 2 episodes in, and I'm like, the stuff I don't like, it still doesn't work for me. And, of course, the one thing I did like about Season 1 of Titans was Starfire's whole plot line. And it's just like, and I know where it's going to go. And that was the interesting thing about it. But everything else, it wasn't for me. But yeah, that's what I'm doing. I also got to get this guy to watch Mad Max Fury Road, because I know, because he hasn't seen it, and the fact that he got a new TV, so I was like, you gotta see Mad Max Fury Road, especially with this TV. Oh my god, it's gonna blow your mind, because I can just see just those colors on that TV. But yeah, anyways, so yeah, that's kind of what I've been up to, and been trying to watch stuff. But you know what I also did, and it's not on my notes or whatever, because I guess I just wasn't going to go into full detail about it, but I've been playing a game recently that I got, and that's Ghost of Tsushima. I beat it, and I'm going to take you back to the time, because I remember this was a game that I was looking forward to ever since the E3 reveal, like a couple years ago. And I've been waiting for it so much so that every time I remember about Ghost of Tsushima, I always have to look up, because I kept forgetting what the title was. And, when it was coming out, I was like, is that the game I was looking forward to ever since that E3 reveal? And sure enough, it was. And I'm like, oh my god, I gotta get this game. And unfortunately, I couldn't buy it because I was just like, money's tight or whatever. But eventually what had happened was I pre-ordered Cyberpunk 2077, and of course I never touched my copy because of all the bugs and all that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna probably just refund this. And I refunded it like a couple times. I kept sending in, I think I sent in like twice, for a refund. And I just was like, so am I ever going to get a refund for this? And then sure enough, I got a refund for it. And I was like, give me Ghost of Tsushima. And so it's funny. with games nowadays. Like, games nowadays are very cinematic. We've been in this transition of, like, story actually matters in these games. And, you know, one of my favorite game of all time, of course, is Batman Arkham City. And mainly because of, you know, not only the gameplay and the story, it's just, everything just kind of, when you mix it all together, that game just worked for me, so much so that I beat it 12 times. And yeah, like, no joke, when I say I literally would start a new save game just to beat everything again, side missions and main story, yeah, I did that because I fucking loved that game so much. But, you know, so Ghost of Tsushima, man, this was one of those games where I didn't rush it or whatever. Whereas, you know, with Doom Eternal, I was just going and going, just wanted to beat it just for the sake of beating it, and not necessarily just taking in the whole experience. You know, I don't know why, but I guess I just had that feeling of, like, I gotta beat it just to beat it, just get it over with so I could do everything else. But for Ghost of Tsushima, man, I was so immersed in that whole world. So Ghost of Tsushima takes place in, is it the 18th century or the 17th century? So one of those centuries, you're a samurai, and Tsushima, and the story is basically these Mongols come invade Tsushima, take over, you know, wipe out all the samurais, and it's you and your character, the main character Jin, and he's trying to take back Tsushima. And in the process, he has to go save his uncle. He saves his uncle, and yeah, there's just so much in this game that is just truly incredible. It's all about honor, and, you know, what it means to honor the samurai, you know, Sakai clan, as Jin is a part of. And, you know, he does some things that are not very samurai tradition. And, you know, just the whole character arcs in this game is incredible. I think, you know, it's definitely my top 5 favorite games of all time, honestly. Like, I'm still on the brink of, like, is this my new favorite game of all time? Because it's really, I just love everything about it. From the different stances that you have to take, that you have to, you know, different, like, fighting styles that you take when you fight enemies, because, and certain, game mechanics and certain, what would you call it? God. In the gameplay, you basically have to take on an enemy with a specific, like, stance. And, you know, it's how you're holding and using your sword to take out an enemy, and it's great. I love it. I think it's just perfect. It's perfect, and it never gets old. And there's this mechanic where you have a standoff, and, you know, you just have to wait for the enemy to attack him. And right as he's about to charge you, you can kill him with one slice. And it's fucking incredible. It's truly fucking incredible. And then you can go to, you know, you can go up to, like, 3 people, and then additional one if you're wearing a specific kind of armor. And it's truly phenomenal. I think the best thing about the whole game is the fact that the environment is very gorgeous. It's very beautiful. It's very live and just very cinematic. And, you know, you could definitely tell that the game makers, Sucker Punch, were definitely, you know, they've said so many times that this game was very much influenced by the by samurai movies and all that. And, you know, it totally shows, and it's fucking beautiful. It's really fucking great. And, you know, it is challenging, and I love the fact that, you know, with a friend of mine, we were talking about how, he basically told me, like, I hadn't gotten further, but he's like, the more you go north or whatever in Tsushima, the more harder it gets. And he wasn't kidding, and I just loved that so much. And there's so much about it that I just love about it. I love all of these characters and the side missions you do, and and I love the fact that with most of these side missions, like, at least not with the 4 companions that you team up with whenever you have to take on the main mission or whatever, but like all these other missions, they don't end in happiness at all. Like, either someone loses a family, or you gotta find someone's family, but it turns out they're dead and they were slaughtered. And it's very great. And I love the armors. The armors have specific classes and what comes with it. They have benefits, and the customization. I love the customization you can do with the type of mask and the headbands or the hats you want to wear. And it's truly fucking great. And I was watching a YouTube video about details that you probably wouldn't notice, when it comes to whether it's the blood splatter or Jin walking across like the fields and having his hand out, just feeling the field of like the not the flowers, but like the grassy areas and whatnot. Like it's stuff like that really kind of makes it great. And this is by far my favorite like stealth game ever. I mean, you can be stealthy in this game too, and it's wonderful. I mean, not since Assassin's Creed, which I haven't really played any of the new Assassin's Creed. Last one I played was Syndicate, and I only played like 10 minutes of that and just bailed out because I got bored with it. But even the stealth in Ghost of Tsushima is great. I love everything about it. And just, again, this journey of what it means to honor. It's basically about honor. That's the theme of this whole thing. It's like it's so wonderful, and I loved every minute of it. And there's just there's a part of me is like, is there going to be a sequel? But at the same time, after having a chat with that friend of mine, I was, he made a great point of like, it doesn't really need it unless it's going to be about a different character. And I'm like, you're not wrong. It does kind of wrap up. But yeah, I think Ghost of Tsushima, if it's a one and done game, fine. I'm totally down with that, because I thought the whole experience was just fucking great. Like, again, the environment is what really kind of blows me away, and just the level of like details and just the gameplay, everything about it is just so cinematic. I haven't played New Game Plus, but I know if I do that, I'm gonna like tear through all of them. But hopefully it brings, with New Game Plus, it brings an additional challenge to it all. And I also will say, this is the second game that I got on Platinum. This is the second game I got Platinum on. Yeah, I officially got all the trophies for it. And yeah, I had to cheat and look for it all. Look for, these... I had like 4 trophies left to get, and they were all hidden trophies. And yeah, man, I totally dug it a lot. And, I would definitely recommend it, especially even though it's on PS4 or PlayStation, whichever you have, 5 or 4. I would definitely recommend this game, because it's just, it's truly incredible, and I couldn't be more happy with it. Could be more satisfied with it, honestly, because just like, even though it gets tough and it's still great, and just it brings all the emotions with it too, and I certainly loved it a lot. So yeah, Ghost of Tsushima, that's what I've been doing too these last couple of weeks since I last got on here. But with that being said, let's dive into the actual show notes that I have here. And that's I might as well go with talking about this movie I rewatched, as I mentioned earlier. I watched Malcolm and Marie, Netflix's Malcolm and Marie, starring John David Washington and Zendaya. Now, I watched this when it first dropped, and I don't know what it was, but the first time around, I was very disappointed with it. Very much checked out a couple of times. And yeah, I totally got what the movie was going for, and so I was just like, yeah, this movie was very disappointing. Not the worst thing ever, but I was just like, I was disappointed with it. I was hoping for something better, But, decided to give it a second chance, even though I didn't want to. I decided to give it a second chance, and, I'm still in the same boat. I feel like, yeah, it's alright. So, Malcolm and Marie on Netflix is basically about this couple that after a night of just being out, the character Malcolm is a filmmaker. Malcolm is a filmmaker, and it's his first debut. And they just get home from the premiere and the debut wherever. They didn't really specify where, if it was a premiere or if it was at a Sundance. Either way, his film was premiered. And so it's Malcolm and his girlfriend, Marie. And it's a one night where they are constantly arguing about this. Now, the theme is very much about gratitude. Now, I will say, this movie probably got a lot of buzz because of the fact that, this is the first movie that was filmed during quarantine. And, for me personally, I didn't care about that. I was just more excited because it's John David Washington and Zendaya. Now, I will say the second time around, at the end of the day, I still kind of feel disappointed by it, but, I appreciate it more, especially after watching the second time. I mean, Zendaya and Washington really bring it in these roles. Like, they really, really do feel like these two are a couple, and just having these arguments. And, one of the things I love about the movie is, even my first time seeing it, I always said, even though it's disappointing, I really love the script because it feels so natural and raw that it just feels so realistic, and I could totally see why there are some people who are going to love this fucking movie. I could totally see it because it very much does a great job at portraying this, like, couples who get in these fights, and it very feels much real, and just feels like, this is a conversation you would probably have if you were in those, in their shoes or whatever. Like, it very much feel like these are real characters. I also love the fact that, it's kind of a cool move that they decided to have this be in black and white. I really dug it, and there's a lot of cool shots where it's one long take, and then there's some really unique, interesting, like, camera, like, cinematography in this movie, and I really dug it. And generally when it comes to one area type of movies, it could get pretty fucking boring, I think, but with this one, it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad at all. I think what kind of suffers this movie is the fact that there is a lot of argument, but it's not through the whole, it is through the whole movie, but there are moments when they're not arguing that just kind of brings it back, lets the audience breathe, and then they start to argue again. Kind of gets repetitive. And, this time around, I remember the first time seeing it, I was like, this is almost 2 hours, and I'm just like, when is it over? But this time around, didn't bother me as much. It really didn't. And I think overall this movie is okay. I wouldn't say it's disappointing anymore, but, for me, I'll just leave it at, it's okay. I will also say I just had it on the top of my head, and I don't know where it went, but yeah, this movie is okay. Would I recommend it? I mean, I feel like, I mean, if you just, man, I don't know. I probably would, because it's like, it's not the worst Netflix movie I've ever seen. I mean, God, for every, Malcolm and Marie, there's another shit movie on, made by Netflix, because, man, Netflix, you're great at making shows, but most of your movies are just like, what the fuck are y'all thinking? Like, yeah, it is what it is. I mean, and I feel like this movie could have benefited with flashbacks, just to, show more of, like, outside of, this whole argument. Maybe give it more context of, like, where Malcolm and Marie are coming from when they have their arguments. Certain flashbacks, that would be nice, but, it is what it is. But I will take it for what it was because of this whole... Again, I really dug the script, and I wouldn't be surprised come Oscar season or whatever awards that the script gets some sort of, like, awards for it. I mean, performance-wise, I think, I could totally see Zendaya getting some awards for this, because this is really the first movie that I've seen her outside of the franchise Spider-Man or whatever. I know I need to watch You Rip Through I can't speak. That show on what's it called? The show on HBO Max. You guys know what I'm talking about. But yeah, that's the show I need to watch, apparently, because of the fact that it's like, yeah, I should probably watch that because she got an Emmy for it. So it's like, I should probably watch that. But yeah, I think overall, Malcolm and Marie is a really solid, okay movie. I mean, is it a thumbs up or a thumbs down? I would say it's a thumbs up. I mean, not like sky high or anything. I know a lot of people are loving this online, and that's great. For me, I'm just kind of in the middle. I think it's okay. But yeah, that's just my thoughts on Malcolm and Marie. So yeah, now we dive into some non-reviews or whatever. So let's talk about this one. HBO's The Last of Us series has officially casted their Joel and Ellie. They casted Pedro Pascal as Joel and Bella Ramsey as Ellie, both from Game of Thrones. So I love the fact that they're keeping it in-house with, the whole HBO kind of deal. And plus, it's like, Pedro Pascal, he's kind of big right now with, Wonder Woman and The Mandalorian. So good on him. The castings. So, yeah, obviously I love these castings. I mean, Bella Ramsey, she played, I'm forgetting her character name, but she was badass in Game of Thrones. I mean, she just brought that presence. You would think, for a character that's supposed to be surrounded by all these people, and she's supposed to be there because she, is, I believe she was ruling in, that show, and her place, I cannot remember, if she was ruling or not, but her presence, her dialogue, her just shutting people down in that show was just phenomenal. And so the fact that she's casted as Ellie in The Last of Us series is great. I love these two castings. I really do. I think it's kind of good. It's great. It's great casting, I will say. Is it perfect? I mean, to each their own, I guess. But yeah, The Last of Us series. I mean, I gotta be honest, I was not really I wouldn't say I hated The Last of Us, the first game or anything, but I never understood the appeal. And, I liked it, but I was just like, maybe that's the game I need to go back and play again, because I remember just finishing that game and just being like, yeah, this is alright. I don't see why everybody's going crazy over it. I mean, the gameplay is incredible. I'll give it that. The gameplay is definitely incredible. But then again, it's, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm not like a hardcore gamer when it comes to this. And, the story is great. It really is. And that chemistry between Joel and Ellie are fan-fucking-tastic. And, there's a lot of driven, there's a lot of things that go on in that first game. And it's great. But for some reason, it never really clicked with me. And it's so weird because it's playing The Last of Us 2 was just I feel so shitty because it's how can I be a fan of this franchise when, with the first one I thought it was good, but I wasn't crazy for it. But with the second one, I'm I like this one more than the first one. I don't know why. But, well, then again, I did have issues with The Last of Us Part 2. Because it's just, that whole Abby thing, that was a lot to swallow, honestly. That was really a lot to swallow, honestly. And, again, I didn't have a problem with Joel getting killed in the second Part 2. Because I was just okay, it's ballsy or whatever. But story-wise, it makes sense. Eventually, Joel's time was going to come up. And I totally understand the argument of they should have just made, part 2 should have been about the falling out between Joel and Ellie. That would have been great too. That would have been great as well. And then, have a Last of Us Part 3 where Joel gets killed and it's about Ellie's revenge and her just committing to it even when she gets kicked in the face to the point where, okay, she's not going after Abby because she loves her girlfriend and they have a kid together. But, Joel's brother just had to come and be we know where Abby is. And even then, Ellie still doesn't kill her because reasons? I have no clue. I don't really have a clue. Because I guess, the fact that, Abby's taking care of someone as well. And it's alright, I guess, but all I'll just say is for some reason, I don't know why, I can't explain it, but I kind of enjoyed Part 2 more than Part 1. Overall, I think, The Last of Us series, the fact that it's getting a series is okay, cool, I'll check it out, I guess, because it's HBO for starters, and, good casting, and, again, I won't get into that argument of should X game be, adapted into either a movie or a series, because, I just feel at the end of the day, I don't it should, because of the fact that it's hey, there's a lot of people that I know that don't play video games that I'm pretty sure would love this story. Yes, it's for fans, but at the same time, it's let's give people more, obviously it's for more content for their, channel, brand or whatever, but at the same time, it's I also love the notion that it's okay, here's a story that you probably haven't seen, or you probably have, but here's something that, we're not going to leave you out. Just because you don't play the game, or whatever, here you go. Here's this. I can definitely tell that my mom was probably going to love this show, because she has HBO Max, and, she's been, deep diving into HBO and that whole catalog, and it's I'm pretty sure she's going to like The Last of Us. So it's it's for them, honestly. I whenever I think of something that's being adapted, it's I think of, my mom and everyone else who's not deep diving into the source material of all this stuff or whatever. And it is what it is, I'll just leave it at that. So, but that's my thoughts on The Last of Us series with those two castings. Speaking of castings, let's talk about Sasha Calle. Calle? Is that how you say her last name? Has been casted as Supergirl in the Flash movie. Now, it is well known that this Flash movie, directed by Andy Muschietti, for one, it's happening. Two, it's really happening because somebody, I think he was the producer, posted a production still that basically announced, hey, we're shooting the Flash or whatever. We're finally fucking doing it after 5 years since it was announced. It's finally happening. So, yeah. So, and then this recent announcement, Sash Calle has been casted as Supergirl. And it's like, alrighty, let's go. Now, it all should be known that this Flash movie, as stated, is obviously going to be some sort of adaptation of Flashpoint, just to, I guess, reset their DC CEU canon or whatever and whatnot. And so that's why we're getting, for some reason we're getting Michael Keaton's Batman, which is pretty awesome, and Ben Affleck's Batman, which I'm for it. I'm really for it. And now we got Sash Calle casted as Supergirl in the Flash movie. And it's like, I am very, very curious to see what this, quote-unquote Flashpoint story is going to look like. I mean, granted, it's not going to be the Flashpoint movie we've seen in the comic. Clearly not. It's not going to be that all. It's going to be an adaptation of it. It's going to take that concept of Barry goes back in time, saves his mom, or does he? I don't know. Does he save his mom in this movie? I don't know. But I think, Sasha Calle casted as Supergirl. I've never seen her in anything, but, I'm for it. Hey, more characters being brought onto the big screen, I'm for it. I'm really for it. Although there is this sick, twisted, feeling in me just being like, oh, okay, so, I mean, yeah, they did announce that they're going to do a Supergirl movie, but you couldn't have gotten, Henry Cavill to come back as Superman for this one, where he's all in the Flashpoint comic, where he's all skinny and, the government took him and all that business. Alright, it is what it is, but then again, I don't really care, because at this point, I'm just like, if Warner Brothers is okay with putting Superman on TV again, I really don't see why. I don't see them really putting Henry Cavill back in the Superman suit in a movie. I don't see it happening. Now, I know there's been, confirmations that, he signed on to do cameos or whatever, but it's like, I don't see it at this point. I really don't see what's the point for Henry Cavill to come back as Superman if they're not going to give him his own solo movie. I can bang that drum all day, but at this point, I'm just kind of like, I'm done holding my breath for Henry Cavill to come back as Superman. I'm really kind of done. I'm just going to, support Henry Cavill and watch him in other things, except The Witcher, because that show never really, caught my attention. I gave it 3 episodes. Nothing happened. But anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. Sasha Calle is casted as Supergirl. I think it's, again, haven't seen her or anything, but I trust Andy Muschietti and what he's doing, and I gotta admit, the way they announced her as Supergirl was great. Because if you haven't seen it, they posted it on, there's a video, it's a Zoom call, and it's Andy Muschietti and Sash Calle. It's like, alright, you ready for this? And I was just like, I remember when it first popped up on my Twitter, I was like, uh-oh, okay, there's Andy Muschietti, and there's some girl I've never seen before, and all of a sudden he's like, alright, he's like, I think you're going to be wearing this, and he pulls I imagine it's her suit, or it's got to be her suit, right? It might be her suit, or maybe it's Henry Cavill's, or a suit from Man of Steel. It's very much the Man of Steel S and whatnot. And he just goes, you're going to be wearing this. And she just she's just kind of crying and and she even takes a moment and she's like, can I just get a moment to freak out. She looks off to the side. I imagine she was talking to some of her family members or a family member, and she's like, "I got the role," and I'm like, "Man, I'm so happy for you. Like, I cannot wait to see this." And you know, the fact that we now live in a world where we've had really four live action Supergirls, and you know. And whether it's TV or movie, with, you know, the first Supergirl in the 80s, and then Smallville, and then Melissa Benoist, who is wrapping up the final season of Supergirl, and now we're getting Sash Calle. And, you know, I'm for it. You know, I am still, you know, go back to the Henry Cavill thing, but I am crossing my fingers to see some sort of scene with, you know, Sash Calle and Henry Cavill making possibly a cameo to be like, "What's up, little cousin?" or older cousin, whichever the two. I mean, I imagine she'll be older, but I don't know. They could change it up. Or hell, she might be from a different multiverse, because since they are playing with multiverses and whatnot, all kinds of shit or whatever. But yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy to see, you know, Supergirl come on the big screen, you know. So, that's exciting. Now let's talk about some trailers, shall we? Let's talk about the least, like, not really on my sort of, like, high bar to talk about trailer. Let's talk about the Cruella trailer. Now, I remember hearing about this movie. God, how long has it been? It feels like forever, honestly. I remember when they first announced it. I want to say it was like 2018, maybe 2019. I can't remember. And then, you know, Emma Stone is playing Cruella de Vil, which, you know, the main villain from 101 Dalmatians. And, you know, we saw a first still of her, you know, and what looks like a very 70s inspired look, and, you know, punk rock going for her look. And, you know, now we got a trailer, and I gotta say, I'm very intrigued by it. I was really digging it up until the whole, like, her revealing herself in this party or whatever, where she drops the flame, and, you know, she's in this white getup, and, you know, she drops the flame, and the flame, you know, dissolves the white cover up and whatnot, and here's Cruella de Vil and whatnot. And I'm just like, that was really fucking weird. Like, okay, you know, showing off just for spectacle reasons, but okay, that's weird. But everything else I kind of dug. I really dug this whole, like, I can't tell from the movie or not. I don't know if her backstory is going to be a tragedy or say. I mean, it does look like, when the trailer opens, she does look like she's working for some sort of hotel. I imagine it kind of looks like it, where she's in this getup and is working for some sort of hotel, probably for the rich or so, and, you know, something like that. But I do love the fact that you get this sense of, like, she's very confident in herself. She's very confident in herself, and it's just like, you know, I'm just a little bit mad and crazy and whatnot. And I'm like, well, that is Cruella de Vil. That's for damn sure. And, you know, it is sort of strange that kind of feels like, are they going to make her sympathetic? I mean, it's kind of weird considering Cruella de Vil, at least from the animated movies, she kills dogs and wears their fur and whatnot. It's kind of like, okay, this is going to be weird. I mean, granted, I never saw Maleficent or anything. I didn't see those two movies because, again, when it comes to Disney classic movies or whatever, I'm not crazy for them. Probably haven't seen all of them, honestly. So, and you know, it's like, you know, at the end of the day, I'm just kind of like, I know the basis of these characters, but, like, yeah. So, but this trailer, it's just like, it did have me intrigued, even though it's like, they're really going to try, are they going to try and make us feel for this character, because it seems like this character feels like they're going to portray her as a poor person and, you know, going after the rich and all that business. It's like, okay, you know, alright, I'll see it. You know, again, the trailer did intrigue me, and I gotta admit, I do like Emma Stone's accent in it. It's just so weird. But yeah, I dig it. I really dig it. Again, I'm intrigued, so I'll definitely check it out. And I'm surprised it's coming out in 3 months. It's coming out in May. So that's, I mean, probably won't see in the theater. I mean, there's only one theater open by me, but yeah. Yeah, Cruella was, that trailer was interesting. Had me definitely interested. You know what else has me interested? Zack Snyder's Justice League. I mean, I don't know exactly what to say. I really don't. So, Zack Snyder's Justice League, which that's what it's officially being called, has a trailer. And look, I've said it time and time and again, I liked that Justice League movie. I mean, I liked it just because of the fact that, hey, got a Justice League movie. I know there's problems with it, so it is what it is. And so, for 4 years, you know, fans of Zack Snyder and his DC movies have been clamoring, release the Snyder Cut. And the fact that, you know, they actually got it. They actually got what they wanted. Because, I mean, the fact that even the guy that was in charge, the new guy that's in charge, was like, you know, the fact that the fact that fans paid for billboards of these release this Zack Snyder Cut really caught his attention. It's like, yeah, we got HBO Max coming. Why don't we put it on that? Give it some dollars or whatever, and boom, here we are. So again, the trailer very much looks like, you know, there's a lot of familiar things, and then there's some new things, you know, then there's some original ideas that are coming to play. So the trailer did not blow me away, I'll tell you that much. It didn't really blow me away because it's like, okay, it's very much the same plot is what it comes down to. I mean, we're going to see a lot of new shit, that's for sure. And, you know, one additional new scene that they filmed with Jared Leto's Joker, which is like, seeing him again is just like, okay, I'm kind of excited to see it. I'll tell you this much, I'm not excited about his new look because, man, I don't know. I hate to be one of those fans. I really do. You know, it, like, certain, you know, a comic book character's appearance in movies don't really, like, bug me a lot. They really don't. Because, again, it's the design. It doesn't take away how I'm going to feel about the character's or the actor's performance or whatever. I mean, look at The Dark Knight, for example. I don't like the look of the Joker in that at all. I just don't like it. But for the terms of what they're going for in the movie and how it's executed, you know, I dig it. You know, I dig what they were going for. That's for damn sure. And, you know, I don't know. I am kind of getting in, you know, seeing Jared Leto's Joker, honestly. You know, again, for me personally, I can't really tell you if I liked or hated his Joker, because I was just like, I didn't really get enough. Well, not really enough, but like, okay, because of the fact that it's like, okay, his Joker in Suicide Squad was very much getting Harley back. And I'm just like, okay, but what does that Joker look like when Harley's not around? Like, kind of want to see that. So, yeah, seeing Jared Leto back as Joker, you know, I'm neutral about it. I'm not hating it, nor am I loving it. But I will say I'm not loving his look. I'm just so getting tired of seeing Joker with long green hair. I'm so tired of it. You know, I get it. and the context that we're seeing in that one shot seems like Batman and Joker are going to team up. It kind of feels like it. I don't know, or maybe they're just going to have a quick conversation and that's it. But, yeah, man, I'm not a fan of the look at all. Specifically the green hair. I'm just not, I don't understand why. Again, it's a nitpick. Doesn't really mean anything, but like Joker with green hair, with long green hair, it's just like, guys, what are we doing here? I will say I do love the fact that Jared Leto's Joker doesn't have the tattoos, because, even I was like, that's a little bit too much. Like, I don't understand what's going on. Why would Joker have tattoos? Makes no sense. But, yeah, long green hair. Just can't get over that. But anyways, the trailer's pretty, good. Didn't really get me excited for it. I mean, we get to see Superman in a black suit. Ooh, exciting. Never really understood that. Then again, I'm the same guy that really didn't like the Death of Superman comic all that much, because it's just like a bunch of bam, poof, pam, wow kind of thing. It's just more fighting more than story. So, but yeah. I also didn't read it, but I watched the Return of Superman, the anime movie. Yeah, I didn't care for that either. But yeah, seeing, it is nice though, seeing Henry Cavill as Superman, and gonna see some new scenes and like new dialogue we're gonna hear from him. And it's just like, I am fascinated to see what is gonna remain in this movie than, say, what was originally Zack Snyder's stuff, because I imagine there's going to be some stuff that we've already seen that's going to be in this cut. So, again, with Steppenwolf's design, it's like, it's an upgrade, but like, all right, he's got a bunch of razor blades all over himself. Like, okay, cool. That's cool. That's cool, I guess. It is what it is, but I'm still for it. I'll watch it. My friend is trying to get me to go see it in the theater, and I'm just like, fuck no. Even though they did just confirm that it's going to be in the theater and there will be an intermission, so I'm like, I don't want to see it in the theater because it's like 4 fucking hours. Get the fuck out of here. I just don't understand why it needs to be 4 hours. I really fucking don't. Because this seems like this... Because I don't know if this is confirmed. It seems like... I think Zack Snyder confirmed this is his assembly cut or whatever. This is everything that he shot. And he's going to use everything, So, I don't see the need in it. Like, how many nightmare sequences are we going to see, I don't know. But I'm curious about it. I mean... But, whenever I see Justice League, I'll let you know if I saw it in the theater. And, because even I'm like, I don't even know if I want to see it in the theater, because fuck that. I don't know. All I can say is, at the end of the day, I really hope it's good. Because right now, as far as Zack Snyder's DC movies goes, he's 1-1 for me. I loved Man of Steel. I still do. And you know what? Maybe I should rewatch it just to see if I'm still on that same level with Man of Steel. It's been a long time since I watched Man of Steel, But as of now, I loved what Zack Snyder did with Man of Steel. I really do. And, I understand why people have problems with it. I really do. But fuck, I love Man of Steel. And I will die, I will die on, like, I don't care if I die on that hill alone. I really do. I really don't. So, yeah. I love Man of Steel. Very disappointed with Batman v Superman, even though there's things that I like, but overall, I was very disappointed with Batman v Superman. So I am hoping Justice League is good. I'm really hoping it's good. I'm not in that phase where I'm like, yeah, I'm excited to see a Justice League movie, whereas when, that first cut came out, I was just like, I don't care. I'm just glad I got a Justice League movie. I know there's problems, but I don't care. And yeah, like I said, I recently rewatched the Justice League with my mom or whatever, and I was like, yeah, this movie is like, very forgettable. Like, there's only one scene that sticks out, and that's it. But yeah, hopefully Justice League, or Zack Snyder's Justice League, is good. I really do hope it's good. Alrighty. Now let's talk about a trailer I have been waiting for ever since this movie was announced. Man, oh man. Mortal Kombat got a trailer. Got a fucking trailer. Finally. And not just any other trailer, a Red Band trailer. Oh my god. Man, I think we've all, Mortal Kombat fans, have been longing for another Mortal Kombat movie. The fact that it's taken this fucking long is just mind-blowing. But then again, video game movies, have been shit. So, not surprised, but at the same time, I'm like, come on. But the fact that they're finally doing it, finally, they're doing it. And it is kind of worrisome that this is a first-time director making Mortal Kombat, but then again, it's like, Mortal Kombat, yeah, it's a big IP, but like, it's not that big. It's not your DC or Marvel movie or anything like that. But Mortal Kombat, man. First of all, let's just talk about the character designs that they dropped. The poster characters that they dropped. Yesterday, they showed everybody. They showed all the fighters. And man, I fucking love these designs. I fucking love them. I just love them because, they look like the characters. Like, nobody from the character designs does not, you can tell who is who. If you're a Mortal Kombat fan, you can tell who is who, honestly. And I fucking love these designs. I especially, of course, I'm not sure whose design I love more between, of course, the big two, Sub-Zero or Scorpion. I can't tell whose design I love more. I want to weigh towards, Sub-Zero because, Sub-Zero has always been my favorite, character in Mortal Kombat. Maybe it's because he's blue, I don't know. But man, looking at Scorpions, man, that looks great. And I did love reading the directors, like, basically talking about how he came up with the design and, wanted to make it very real, but at the same time, want to make sure it makes sense or whatever. I love that. And it truly pulls off for me. But, yeah, the character designs. Also, Shang Tsung looks fucking awesome. Like, yeah, his, like, from what we've seen, his chest plate is like faces or whatever. I guess they're supposed to be souls or whatever, and he has that one on his shoulder that is like a soul face, and just like, oh my god, dude, I am fucking with this so much. And then they dropped the trailer, and man, for our first look, god damn, it was good. It's bloody. It was just like hard hitting, and it revealed, it looked like they revealed possibly Smoke or Noob Saibot, or maybe that's just Sub-Zero entering wherever, about to face off somebody, and then so I read an article that Kano is fighting Reptile, and I'm like, okay, kind of weird, but like weird design, but whatever. But they also like revealed Goro, like, what the fuck? Like, awesome. Like, I fucking love that a lot. I ate up this whole fucking trailer. I honestly did. I will say the one weird factor about this whole movie is like, not just the new character or whatever, which, I understand why they would make a new character for this movie or whatever, because it's like, oh, we're supposed to be, that character's introducing us as, he's basically, the new character is the audience and introducing us to this world and all that business. Fine, whatever. The weird part is like, yeah, he's got this birthmark and it's the Mortal Kombat symbol, and, Jax, I believe, is like, it's not a birthmark, it's, you've been chosen. And it's just like, okay, I mean, it's just like, like, you could have just gone with the whole, like, the premise of Mortal Kombat. Raiden comes to these fighters or whatever, chooses these fighters, and it's like, you need to participate in a Mortal Kombat tournament and all that business, all that fun jazz. It's like, but no, you had to go and be like, okay, you've had this mark, and you've been chosen to, basically fight in this tournament. It's like, what? Okay, weird, fine, whatever. Again, I'm not expecting this to be like the video game movie that's gonna, make, be the first one to bring us into the golden age of like video game movies are working or whatever. It's like, we're still kind of like we're in the beginning stages, but I don't think this will be the one. And not expecting it to be good, but God, because I know what I'm in for. Good suck. I mean, but fuck, this trailer was great. I love the fact that we see, we're going to see the origin of Scorpion. God, I'm terrible with their names, but yeah, we're going to see the death of Scorpion's family. And also, fun fact, the guy that's playing Scorpion, he's 60. And he's doing all that? What the fuck? Seriously? That's amazing. He doesn't even look like he's 60. And yeah, but we're going to see that whole thing where Sub-Zero kills, quote-unquote, kills Scorpion's family and that whole business. And so it's just like, wait a minute, if this gets a sequel, will they retcon it, or will they just stick to that whole idea of like, no, the Sub-Zero was, or at least, the first Sub-Zero killed Scorpion's family and all that business, and, Quan Chi wasn't making Scorpion see all this or whatever, making him believe it was Sub-Zero. Like, I don't know. I'm fucking excited. Whatever happens, I'm excited. And, it is, I think it's real. Sub-Zero killing Scorpion's family, that's real, because the director said, yeah, Sub-Zero is the main villain. And I'm like, I can't be mad at that. I really can't be, because, looking at the history, Scorpion is, in that story at least, he is the hero. So, yeah, makes sense. Darn, if only it was Sub-Zero. But I'm not mad. I'm really not fucking mad at all. I can't be mad at it. And man, I am fucking excited as fuck. And just seeing that snippet of Sub-Zero and Scorpion just fighting, I was just like, oh my god, I'm so fucking ready. Especially when, Sub-Zero cuts Scorpion and he freezes his blood and then stabs him or whatever, and then throws him through a wall of ice or whatever. Come on. And then, Scorpion, does his iconic line, get over here. Like, dude, again, this fucking movie could suck balls, but man, I already know I'm probably gonna fucking love this movie. Like, yeah, I don't really fucking care at this point. So, yeah, I'm hella excited for Mortal Kombat. I mean, that first trailer was great, honestly, and I will say, voice acting and acting, two different, like, skills, and it shows. Because when Raiden, I imagine this is Raiden, when we first hear Raiden, it's like, oh man, it's kind of not what I was hoping for, because, in the games, Raiden has this, like, very godly, like, not too godly, but, like, a mixture of godly and human kind of voice or whatever. And so, hearing Raiden talk in the trailer, I was kind of hoping for more of like a godly and human kind of voice, but you know what? It is what it is. So, yeah, that is what it is. But I will say the guy that played Shang Tsung, he definitely, like in his voice at least, brings that, Shang Tsung kind of, presence, and, I dig it a lot. Also, the fact that Jax loses his arms to Sub-Zero, fucking metal. Like, oh my god. I can't wait. And Kano, man, he's great. I like the guy that plays Kano already. Like, I really do. I really fucking like that a lot. But yeah, man. And we're less than 2 months away from it. Oh my god. I may just see this in the theater. I may just see it in the theater. The one theater that's open near me. I may just go and see it. Just for the hell of it. But, yeah. Yeah. Mortal Kombat. And I love the fact that we did hear the original Mortal Kombat theme from the 1995 movie, honestly, because it's like, okay, you're rebooting Mortal Kombat, but is that original theme song gonna be in this movie, Like, and I'm hoping it is in there in some variation, some sort of remix. Please, God almighty, it's the same, studio doing this movie, so why not just tune it just for the sake of your movie? I don't care. But yeah, I'm excited. And yeah, that'll do it for this episode. Thank you all for listening. I should really do this right now, which is I'm plugging it up. If you want to find me on social media, you can follow me on Instagram at Alexander_Thorpe. There's no E. It's THORP. And if you want to find me on Twitter, same handle as Instagram, Alexander_Thorpe. There's no E. Can't tell you how many times I have to say this, but yeah. But yeah, that's where you can follow me. You can follow me at Alexander_Thorpe on Instagram or Twitter. So that's it for this week on Spoiler Appetite. I'm Tristan, and you've just been spoiled.